Hi, Sarthak. A very warm welcome to the fourth episode of the Conversation with Mayank series. So, how are you doing today, Sarthak?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Sitting at currently, I'm in my home city, Bikaner, Rajasthan, and I'm waiting for my joining at Bain. So I think that's all good. The weather is also pleasant right now, I think across India, and you are in Mumbai, so
Yeah.
I think Mumbai also is improving now, right?
Is it a pleasant weather in Rajasthan? Like, I think so, like it will be a bit hot there. I'm not very sure about that, but yeah.
So relatively compared to previous years, I mean this particular summer has been quite comfortable because the maximum temperatures is around 35 to 40 compared to like 45, 50 at times, in the previous years that the city has faced. So yeah, I think that way this is a pleasant weather for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm also from Rajasthan. My native town is in Jodhpur, Blue City. So yeah, like it's a bit
Okay.
like nowadays. I think so. In the last 4 to 5 years, the temperature has shooted up actually because maybe of global warming or something. But yeah, the temperature has risen a lot there. So
That's
let's
there.
get a start with the session. So like I was going through your profile and like looking at the like your profile. It's one of the most idealistic profile that like one can want it for. Like you have been to the one of the most desirable your IIT colleges. Like you have been to your IIT Delhi. There you have been a rank holder. Then post that you have completed your masters from IIM Bangalore, and there again you bagged a gold medal there. Having a most desirable consulting companies, you got into a Bain and company there. So like, how does that feel? Also like there will be so much of a pressure behind you. So like, how do you feel? Like it's more about like exciting rules or like there's something or like how you go on for that? Hmm.
Well, I think it feels good, but I think at the same time, it feels more responsible because, I learned very early in life that once you pass 10th, then it is not an easy game. I mean, as parents used to say. So it's always like if you achieve something, then you will have better challenges to face in life. And I think it's good because that in a way makes you better. So right now, I think the only feeling I have is that I have a challenge coming up as being a consultant to some of the biggest MNCs of the world and other companies. So I'm open to learning new stuff and growing. That's it. I think
Yeah.
nothing open, I guess.
Yeah. So you have studied like in your undergrad the IIT Delhi, and then you like mentioned like you went to or IIM Bangalore. So like what was the difference that you like as per your daily schedule, or maybe like what the difference that you find like when you were studying in your undergrad in IIT Delhi and post that in your MBA?
See, I think there is a lot of differences. I mean, so if I want to, give a perfect or a near perfect analogy, I think it would be the startups because IIT life or, the 4 years spent at IIT Delhi were like the 0 to 1 journey of a startup, right?
Yeah.
Where you are trying to figure out things. You are trying to learn problem solving skills, a very fundamental stuff. Okay. You're trying to get out of that school life and, knowing how to talk to people, what is going around in the world, how do you present yourself, and all those kinds of stuff. MBA is a more niche or more focused studies where people come for that 1 to X to 10X journey, right, of that startup.
Yeah.
You want to grow your career and hence you want to accelerate it, and hence you gain certain kind of a knowledge. So I think that was a primary difference between IIT life and IIM life. So I would say IIT life I was exploring versus in IIM I was more focused about academics, the different domains of businesses, and the different case studies, uh, talking with people, trying to understand different perspectives. Because the best part of about IIMs, and especially IIM Bangalore, is that you get to learn not just from the faculty but from the wide cohort of people which come from wide domains,
Absolutely.
like someone is coming from manufacturing, someone from finance, and so on. So I think that's the difference.
Absolutely true. Like the peer learning that makes apart like from your MBA colleges and as well as like your other B schools actually. So yeah, like a follow-up question, a quick follow-up question on that. Like you mentioned about the academic policy. So like if you can highlight how is the academic rigor at IIM Bangalore and like what is the attendance policy there on?
Okay, so I think in absolute terms, it's slightly rigorous because, of course, you are going to study there, and there are a lot of subjects to learn in business within 2 years. The time span is very limited, so the rigor is there, of course, but I would not say that it stops you from doing other things as well. Okay, so I am Bangalore. I think if you are good at time management, then you can do all the different stuff, including sports, cultural activities, and your academics very, very efficiently. So I think I was able to manage it. I would not say it was very hectic for me.
Got it, got it. So, like you like have been to your IIT and you have been like able to or maybe inculcate the things of that like a time management skills like that really help you in pushing your journey at IIM Bangalore IIT. Is that the
Yeah,
case?
possible, definitely. So I have, faced really difficult circumstances during 4 years. So probably that eased the 2 year of path that I had at IIM Bangalore. So
So
possibly.
like if we want to compare your journey like at IIT Delhi and IIM Bangalore, so like which course do you find like the more rigorous in terms of your daily schedules, like maybe your undergrad or maybe the postgrads?
I think it's very difficult to compare the two because it depends on individual to individual as well. So, in my case, I would say it was equally rigorous because uh, during IIT, I was involved in a lot of extracurricular activities, different clubs, societies, and all. But at IIM, I was just playing a few sports and focusing more on the subjects and the case studies and the fest and those kinds of things. So I think more or less, if you are saying as from an individual point of view, I think I was involved kind of an equal number of hours at both the places, and I think one should be.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
but
So
but yes, the answer would depend if you ask someone else.
yeah, yeah. So you also mentioned about like you were more focused about your academics or like a academic curriculum at IIM Bangalore. So is that like you were very clear from like the start, like you want to be in the race of a gold medal and you want to be in the top three or like in that range, or like is that like after a few terms you realize that okay, I'm getting a very good CGP and I can try for that. So like what was your mindset before joining IIM said like during your journey at IIM Bangalore?
Well, actually, it was quite the opposite because when I came to IIM, my sole purpose of joining an MBA was I wanted to learn about business. It was more focused on learning rather than getting any grade or anything. So at that time, I was completely into trying to see what subjects are being taught, how to analyze different case studies, how to understand business and all. Right, but I think many people would agree to what I'm going to say now, that once you enter into an IIM and you see so many bright minds from all parts of the country coming in and competing for something, then it's sometimes it is possible that you can lose track and get into that rat race. But yeah, I think by around second term, I realized that you have to think back, you have to slow down, you have to think back and understand why you came to MBA in the first place, because everyone has a different journey. And then from
Yeah.
I think from that point onwards, I think I have not focused much on grades. I was more focused on, okay, am I learning what I'm here to learn for?
Yeah,
So yeah,
so
but I
absolutely.
think, and in the end, it turned out well that I got the medal and everything. But yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
that
So
was
like
it.
uh when we look for a IIM's journey, so like definitely when we enter, like any person or like even myself, I can vouch for, like when I entered into IIMK, I was feeling a bit like there are like lots of like 400 odd minds sitting there, and you always think like there's a tendency of a self doubting upon yourself. Maybe in the first and the second time it goes like this, okay, like how, like whether my existence at this place is relevant, or like is what thing to have or not. And then you can realize, like absolutely, like over the time, like you deserve to be there actually, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, right, true.
So just a quick question, like you were after graduating from your IIT Delhi, and you were working with Volger Capital, if I'm not wrong. And then, like, how do you
Yeah.
manage to prepare for a cat actually? Like, there might be like you will be having a very hectic schedules on a daily basis, and then like, how do you manage your cat preparation there?
See, I think for me, CAT preparation was mostly about verbal preparation rather than quant or LIDI, because as an engineer, my quant was already sorted out. When I gave my first mock, I remember I almost cracked it pretty well. LRDI was about getting a hang of it, getting some practice, but the most troubling was the verbal for me. So I think I did not prepare a lot for CAT like I feel usually some people do. Uh, I might have hardly prepared for like 2 months. I gave mock tests mostly, and for verbal I was focusing on newspapers and a few books. Okay, so I think that was all about my CAT preparation. Uh, I and with job, yes, it was difficult. I mean, you need to find time. My job was also quite rigorous in terms of number of hours. At times, it was 13, 14 hours a day. So weekends is the time, and then you have to find time in the night, and then some sleepless nights also. So yeah, I think, but everyone has to go through it. If you
Yeah.
talk to any cracked cat with job, it's the same journey.
You have been in a position where you were delivering like for a like working for a 13 to 14 hours earlier as well. So like you have been already trained for a consulting, and you are like a bit ready for a consulting. Like there is like enormous hours that you need to put on. So is that the case? Like you have been that?
So I think there will be challenges. I think, but yes, in terms of number of hours, I think I am also probably set. I'm not sure yet, but I think the previous role I had was not entirely client facing. So
Yeah.
my deadlines were decided by me and my team, right? But now when you're going into consulting and your front end role, then things change, because then your work timelines are defined by what the client expects out of you. So I think that's going to be a difference and a challenge. So I'm ready to uh, face it head on.
Yeah.
Let's hope it ends well.
So
Yeah.
you have interned at a Bain and company only in your summer. So like how was your summer experience at a Bain? Like what were the projects that you were handling? And like if you can mention a few details about that, keeping in mind confidentiality for sure.
Yeah, see, of course, I mean, my experience as a overall 2 month experience was pretty good. There is a specialized program for internship for people coming from all the top IIMs and many other MBA colleges. So I worked particularly on two projects, both of them in the edtech space, more or so. And it was a very good experience because the team I was working with, they were extremely supportive. The culture at Bain is really, really good in terms of you will need all the help that you need, right? So, and there was a extensive evaluation process. The as interns we enjoyed a lot for all the different cultural activities, the Fridays, the events,
Yeah.
the weekend. So I think sum total it was a good experience. Yes, I would not say that the work hours were very very less, or very a lot. I think it's the average work hours that every consulting firm demands out of their employee, and yeah, I think it makes sense because the learning curve also is proportional to it. So I think overall my experience, I would say, was very good, and hence I accepted the BPO.
Absolutely, yeah. As you mentioned about like you accepted the BPO, so like just wanted to know about the placements process at IIM Bangalore. So like if you have accepted a BPO in your summers, then definitely like you can't sit for your finals, or is it like you can always sit for a finals and can try for another company if you want to, even if you have accepted a BPO. So how's that the case?
See, it's not a very straightforward, there's no straightforward answer to that question. Actually, I'll explain. Because
Yeah.
see, at IIM Bangalore, there is a dedicated placement committee, like I think at most colleges, and they are bringing in companies, they are trying to get all people placed. There are always a lot of offers coming from many companies, and all the students are trying to get the best offers, right? So there are certain rules and regulations which are dynamic, and it may change from year on year. But the general set, I mean, the general rule says that, if you have accepted a PPO, so depending on the category of a company, which is again defined by the committee, after deliberate discussion with the faculty, with all the people involved, the stakeholders, that if you have accepted PPO from a certain set of companies, then you may or may not be able to sit for further companies, or how many companies you will be able to sit further in the process. So that's how it goes. I'm not sure, but there are instances when you can sit for companies even after you have PPO.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely got it. So when we were discussing about your CAD preparation, and also you mentioned about like you there were times like when you were not able to prepare like because of your hectic schedules and all. So there's a generally a myth going on in a like to the aspirants who are preparing for CAT, like you need to dedicate certain hours, like maybe like you need to put 400 hours or like 500 odd hours to prepare for a cat, and then you can only like ace a cat, or maybe like same goes with a mock, like if like how many mocks you give depends upon like increase in the mocks your percentile will tending to increase. So like what is your take on both of these questions, like the first like number of hours and second the mock thing?
Okay, so I'll take the first one first. So see, again, the answer is it depends. It depends on you as a cat aspirant. How much are you already prepared for? So for example, as I said, my quant and LRDI sections were pretty much sorted. I was focusing on verbal, right? So it really doesn't depend on how many hours you have put in. I was able to prepare for cat in 2 months, while someone might have taken 6 months or even more, right? So I think so the first things when you are starting to prepare for CAT is to take a first mock test and try to understand where you stand. Okay, and that will form your baseline. Now coming to your second question, which was about how many mocks you should take, and will taking extra mocks improve your percentile every time? No, there is no direct correlation to it. In the initial mocks, you will find it because you are actually becoming more comfortable with the pattern of the paper, right? But beyond the point, when you want to improve, it's not about just giving mocks. It's about identifying the areas where you are not really, able to solve questions, or where you are getting stuck, where you are taking more time, what strategy you're using, and how to improve it. Unless you do that, I don't think you will be able to improve by just giving mocks. So I hope I have covered both the
Yeah,
things that
yeah,
you were trying
absolutely,
to ask.
absolutely, Sarthak. Yeah. So when we are discussing, so you are like for every answers like you are starting with like it depends. So like it's like in our first class, like in the first term, so in of definitely of IMK, so like the professor says like if you want like want to get a degree of MBA, so you need to learn the chronology of like it depends. So is it the case at the IIM Bangalore and every other college like the persons are taught like the folks are taught to answer like it depends and based upon the like giving a diplomatic answers, or what's the case?
No, I think, see, I think so it's not mathematics, right? So in general, in business also, I mean, you would understand, it's all about, a perspective or point of view, and hence, the kind of cohort that MBA, I mean, IIMs are kind of, giving admissions to. So it's all about point of view, and hence answer to many things depend. So
Yeah.
if it was a black and white thing, and if I would have said, okay, 2 + 2 = 4, then it doesn't depend. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So, like, you have like over 2 years of a journey at IIM Bangalore. Like when we talk about most of the IIMs, like maybe ABC and then like LKI and the other top B schools of the country, there's a fixed like on all the colleges, like there's a case pattern, like a case methodology through which the academics are governed. There are like a placements committee and various other committees. So how do you think IIM Bangalore sets apart from rest of the colleges of the country, and like how IIM Bangalore has sets a unique thing that you think like that sets it apart from the other colleges or the top B schools of the country?
Well, I think it would be quite unfair if I answer this question that way, because I have been to one B school, right? I have not been to others. I have not
Yeah.
experienced other schools. But I think what I can say is what is good about IIM Bangalore. I think number one thing is it's extremely balanced. Balanced in terms of how much of academic pressure a student should have, how much of cultural activity exposure should people have, how much of sports should be there, how much of interaction and case competition type of activity should be there, right? So that kind of a balance is really really good at IIM Bangalore. The second thing is the cohort that IIM Bangalore has. It's very diverse. I think compared to many other IIMs, I think that I can say because I've seen some statistics that people are actually coming from manufacturing, from and also the experience. People are really, the candidates are quite experienced compared to other IIMs. So IIM Bangalore also focuses a lot on that experience and what kind of experience it is. And hence it's very good to sit in a class with those kinds of people, because then you get all the different perspectives, right? So I think that is number two. I think more or less placements is of course one thing companies do prefer. There is a strong alumni base. And I think most of the things will kind of correlate with other institutes. But I think these two things quite stand off. And also the exchange part, the exposure to go on an exchange. I mean, the chances are pretty good with IIM Bangalore, because they have a very good relationship with global institutions. So yeah, I think these kinds of things pretty much stand out from there.
Yeah. So you also mentioned about the exchange program at IIM Bangalore. So if you can mention like what all colleges have the tie-up with IIM Bangalore, and like which in all which countries like you can visit, and if you have visited any of the global institute and you have been like a chance, so which was the institute? If you can mention a bit more in the detail about the exchange program.
Right. So I was one of the fortunate ones to go to exchange to Europe. I was an exchange student at ESCP Paris,
Nice.
which is I mean one of the best schools in Europe. So in terms of total number of students going from IIM Bangalore, I think around 130 people go on exchange. Exact number, is somewhere around that.
Yeah.
There are a lot of there are a lot of colleges which have tie up with IIM Bangalore, and it's very difficult to name all of them, but close to 60, 70 colleges were open for exchange students during our time, right? So yeah, I think my exchange experience was pretty good. You have an exposure to a different continent, a different culture, and there also at ESCP there were people coming from some 30, 40 odd countries, and sitting in that class discussing with those people and trying to understand the culture of people, and that is where it hits you that
Yeah.
why creating replicating a business from one place to somewhere around the globe at another place is so difficult. So I think that way it was great, and I think exchange is a really important opportunity one should explore.
You recommend our juniors and the upcoming batches to definitely go for an exchange program, right? Would you recommend it?
Yes, 100%. 100%. My recommendation would be definitely go for an exchange. It's like a once in a lifetime opportunity,
Yeah.
because even after college, when you are going on an exchange, right, it would be a different experience. You can't equate it to an exchange student experience, because when you are a student and you're going out, you have the ability to explore stuff, you have a lot of time, then you can talk to people and all those kinds of things. If you're going, maybe at some point later in life, you are probably going it either as a tourist or as a professional, right? In either of the cases, your focus might be somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
So I think as an exchange students, one definitely should go for exchange.
Going back to your IIM Bangalore journey and knowing a bit more about IIM Bangalore, because like I'm also a very curious person to know about IIM Bangalore. So what all elective options do you get in a second year, when you start opting for electives? And is there any elective that you find a very interesting, apart from maybe a core finance and maybe a marketing subject? If you can elaborate a bit more about the electives option and
See, there are a bunch of electives. I think all IIMs are providing
yeah.
a lot of good electives in all the different domains of finance, marketing, strategy, and everything. I mean, two subjects that stood out for me, I think, and I like them a lot, and I feel there's a lot of relevance of them as well. One is about strategy, tactics, and economics of pricing. Basically, it's a pricing strategy course. That course is really, really relevant because it's all about how do you get to the price of a product, a service, okay, in the market, or how do you basically research and get to that final right price, because something because pricing is something which there is no right answer, as I said. It
Yeah.
depends, right? It depends from your perspective, right? And getting to that answer is a lot of analysis, lot of understanding of the customer and your offering and competition, right? So that is a really good course, which I also did. And then there is a yeah. So there is a analytical retail operations. There's a course on retail operations and marketing. So that course is also pretty good. It talks about all these big chains, how they are using data as a competitive advantage. The Walmarts of the world, the Amazon, today GeoMart, right? So how they are using analytics as a tool to their advantage. So those two elective courses were really something stood out for me. Yeah, but
Just
again, there's a host of courses,
yeah.
investment banking. People going into finance, investment banking, they have courses on derivatives, investment banking, pricing, valuation, everything. So
Is that like you were aspiring for a job in a consulting and therefore you have took or opted for a course on a pricing? Like as a consultant, you always need to come up, like you need to consult or give a rationale behind what will the price of a new product that you are launching. Is that the case? If I'm going in a right direction?
no, I think my choice of that course was more dependent on who is teaching that course and the content of that course. I
Yeah.
mean, it was not entirely related to what job I'm going to do, because you never know, because even as a consultant, how long will you survive in the industry, or how long will you stay in this particular role? It's always uncertain. So job was not the entire reason. But yeah, I think maybe a part of the reason somewhere in the back of the mind.
Yeah. So you cracked your summer internship at Bain. So it is in the first term your summer internships conclude in most of the IIMs. So how do you started preparing for a consulting, like before starting your journey? Like you have started, how was your preparation going on? Like when you have started and how do you go on starting your prep for a consulting specifically?
So consulting preparation is a very streamlined kind of a preparation. There are not a lot of things to cover. So mostly it is advised to start with doing case. I mean, understanding what are the different kinds of cases. You have profitability cases, then you have growth, market entry, and pricing cases, right? So first of all, you need to understand those cases, the frameworks, and then you keep trying those cases with your friends in a case group of say two
Yeah.
or three people, right? And then you keep mixing up with different groups, trying to analyze different cases from different angles, trying to understand how other people are solving the cases, where you can improve, where you can, go more structurally in your thinking and so on. So I think a consulting preparation is mostly about that. Also, it involves a lot of other things, like you have you have dinners with consulting companies before your interviews, those kinds of places where you should understand more about the company, you should talk to people, those kinds of things. So I think it's one of the more streamlined preparations. And the final interviews are also more about this only. They want to check how structurally you can think, okay, and how do you go about solving a problem. Okay, so yeah, I think my preparation was mostly around that. I had a good case group, so that is always a plus. You get to learn from people, so like an MBA everywhere.
So like if
So
like any one tip that you want to give your juniors from IIM Bangalore, like to any other students who are in a first year, so like to ace their summer internship, like as the summer internship, like a summer program is near to the corner, and like what is the one thing that you need to, like, as an advice you want to give away as of now?
So I think in the case of consulting, I think the most important advice is to practice different kinds of cases and as many cases as you can, right? Till a point where you get comfortable with solving cases, right? Overdoing also can be harmful, but I think till a point where you are comfortable with solving any kind of case given to you, I think you should keep practicing with different type of people. Someone maybe your friend, someone who is senior to you, someone probably junior to you as well, or someone from the company the buddies are assigned and all.
Yeah.
So as long as you are not comfortable, you should keep practicing.
You need to cover a whole lot of, like, not only a depth but also the width, like when it comes to like not only the vertical lines, but you also need to cover the whole lot of different consulting cases. Yeah.
Right. So the general approach is you go wider first. Okay, you
Yeah.
cover the breadth
Gotcha.
first, and then once you know what
Yeah,
all
then
is
you go,
possible, then you go into
definitely,
the
yeah,
depth
do it there.
into each of these areas, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And then you
absolutely.
mix and match
Yeah.
all of them so that you are ready for that final day.
Yeah. So, you have got a two, like you have interned in, like for a two times, and I think so you got like you got back-to-back PPOs at both of the time at like at your undergrad college as well as well as your time at IIM Bangalore. So, is there any like as an interns, what is the thing that you are focusing to to succeed in your path, or like you to how to get a PPO? Is that anything that you particularly focused upon, like when you were working?
Well, I'm not sure if this answer is correct, but this is my view on this.
Yeah.
Number one, that in any kind of internship, if you're going in, you should always look at a bigger picture. Okay, so you should understand what is going around in the company, whether that company's, kind of fits your expertise, whether you will be able to, get along in the same company as a full-time employee. And of course, what is happening, right, at a larger level, what other people are doing. Like, having an interest in that, showing an interest in that is a very positive sign, and can actually lead to a good impression on the people who are actually deciding about your PPO. I think number two thing is more than doing exceptional work, it's about achieving what is expected out of you, at least. Okay, so there is a sort of expectation that you should achieve, and I think you should always try to at least do that, and whenever possible take some initiative in one of the directions. Don't try to spread your legs too much that you end up messing up something for your team, or in the job that you're doing. So I think those two things one should always be careful about. Third thing is about discipline, and you know how you project yourself when you are talking to people, when you are around your colleagues, when you are around your seniors and everyone. So that on subconscious level might affect your chances of conversion of PPO. So I think these
Yeah.
three things are very important.
Absolutely true. Like as an intern, taking much more on a plate rather than what is given to you. You need to just do it very perfectly, and then you can always get some extra work like based upon the tendency, like how you are working and like how you want to go on. Yeah.
And one big part of it is communication. So you should always keep communicating what you are doing to the person who is managing you, right? So so that, you know, if you are doing something wrong, or if you're about to do something wrong, you can actually save that save your day from that. So communication is important part of any kind of an internship.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. So like, is that like your internship at Bain as well as the other internship? So was that only in a in-person mode, or was it in a virtual mode actually?
So
So like
thankfully
how
both
do
my so both my internships were in person. One was in Mumbai and the other was in Bangalore. So I did not face that. Yeah, but a section of it is, you know, after COVID, my internship was after COVID, of course, and a section of you know, your work is always turned online, just like we two are doing a call now, right?
yeah.
So so yeah, I think that kind of a virtual environment is there, and you need to handle that as well. So yeah, but it was in person. I was working from office with my team.
Absolutely true. So, like, just a one last question, and then we can like wrap up this session. So, like, if given a chance, like, if you went back into a time and just like your 2 years journey, and if you want to change one thing at IIM Bangalore, so like, what will be that one thing that you want to now change at IIM Bangalore?
Change about what I did at IIM Bangalore. Is that what you
Yeah,
meant?
like if
Or
like is there anything that you regret, like you were not able to do at IIM Bangalore, and like you have missed due to a certain reasons, and then if you given a chance, like what will be the thing that you want to do if given a chance to again going forward to IIM Bangalore, or maybe your MBA
uh,
journey actually?
well, actually, there is a whole lot of things, because I mean, because obviously, because again, this is also important for, I think, the audience that you are targeting. Because see, in IIMs there are 100 things, and you cannot do 100 things. You have to prioritize. You have to choose what suits you, and what suits your time management. Okay, so that portion of things you start doing, right? So you will always lose out on a lot of things. So I think one of the things that I would do much more rigorously is case competitions, organized you know, by the companies and all.
Yeah.
So I think that is one thing which I obviously I did a lot of case comps, but you know, I would have done it more rigorously, because that helps you, you know, develop a kind of a mindset. uh, it's very helpful across in your professional life if you go ahead. So yeah, I think that is one thing.
Yeah, definitely. Like case forms, like are real life case scenarios, and you go into learning of so much of practical knowledge. Thanks, Sarthak. Thank you for giving us a time today and like enlightening our juniors, like what like telling about like what was your journey and how we can proceed, and like other can proceed in their MBA and the other journey and the part of the life. So like really big thanks to you to coming on board, and yeah, doing this today. Thank you.
Thanks to you too, Mayank. I think this is a fantastic platform that you're building, and you know, because and always as seniors, we are happy to help juniors, because from us, maybe if they can learn one or two things, they can avoid a few mistakes. It can help a lot, and that's probably the goal. So thank you, Mayank, again, and yeah, stay in touch.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, buddy.